Okay, now hold on. We need to sync it. So now I'm gonna do 1, 2, 3, clap. You know.
Okay.
1, 2, 3. Yeah, how's it going, guys? Welcome back to the Grease Monkey podcast. I know it's been a little bit. It's episode 3. We're pushing them out slowly but surely.
It's been like a year.
Yeah, we're a little bit constipated on episodes.
Yeah,
but...
I have to poop. I'll be right back. All right, I'm back.
All right. So Mac, how have you been? It's been a couple weeks. What have you been doing?
I've been just kind of sleeping and working and pooing and just playing some games here and there and then rinse and repeat. You know, been cooking a lot more. Been getting in the kitchen a lot more. You know.
What you been cooking?
I had these eggs that came in my HelloFresh meal. Like one of those meal delivery services. And I tried to crack them open because I was making a cheesy potato hash with fried eggs on top. Crack them open. They're like incredibly orange, like toxic orange. And then it turns out one of them had been opened already, and I spilled egg all over my sink. And,
nice.
So I don't know if I'm gonna cook for a while. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Let me clarify. By the way, not sponsored by HelloFresh.
Oh yeah, I shouldn't have said that. I guess we're screwed.
I just thought it was funny. No, I just thought it was funny how you said it. You were like HelloFresh, a meal delivery service.
Because I want people to be able to picture it. People, I want them to be able to picture it in their head. Honestly, I don't know if we'll get sponsored anymore because I shit on them for giving me eggs that were broken. But,
no, that's okay. It was their fault.
Eggs. Yeah, it was pretty rough.
But hey, HelloFresh, if you want to pay us a little bit of CPM, we'll overlook your nuclear eggs.
Exactly. I'm down with that. It's $62 a month. Okay, I'm not gonna do $62 a week. Oh yeah, $62.49 a week. You can get your
go to HelloFresh.com/ these nuts.
GreasyMonkeys 15. Get your. What can you imagine? Let's imagine like crazy sponsorships for streamers. Like imagine like a streamer has like a 30% discount to like Home Depot. Like it's like just like some random ass thing.
No, that's the weird thing. The Super Mega Podcast, I'll be listening and they'll be like, this episode's sponsored by Progressive. And I'm like, what?
We got a lot of our older Andys.
Yeah, they've got real brand deals on there, and it always blows my mind.
Yeah, because we just have like shitty emails, like shitty graphic T-shirt, like sweater anime companies that reach out to us.
Yeah, we're like, this is sponsored by customtees.uk. You can get one of the same 3 Galaxy T-shirt patterns.
Remember, guys, I'm sponsored by Amazon, and by that I mean I actually just have an affiliate link. Can you go ahead and press that affiliate link and buy the product? I get a little kickback. But no, it's stuff like that. It's quite the funny thing going between professionals.
You know, I used to have a Fortnite creator code.
Really?
Or a
How was
supported
that?
creator code.
How did you feel about that?
It sucked. It did nothing.
That's like a therapist.
Basically, they used to have it so that if you had 1,500 followers or more, then you could get it. And I think I have like exactly 1,500 followers on Instagram.
Yeah.
So I was able to get the link, but I only wanted it because at the time it was when Fortnite was like in its heyday. So I was like, okay, if I get the battle pass and put in my own support a creator code, then it's like I'm getting a cheaper battle pass because I'm getting money back.
Yeah.
But they only pay you out after a certain amount, so I'd have to spend a lot of money on there. And I didn't want to advertise that I had a Fortnite code.
I would do that. I would never stream Fortnite and just have like a in the bottom right corner of my stream. I would just have support a creator, Mac 10 or Mac whatever.
Yeah.
It's like random as hell. I'm like 1% streamed Fortnite out of my games.
That's my favorite thing when I click on like a 1 or 2 viewer Andy on Twitch, and then it's like I'm sponsored by Toontown Online or something like that, like just an obscure game, and I'm like, how?
There's some small streamers I've run into where like their entirety of their screen is like 10 different companies, like an energy drink, like a keyboard, like all kinds of like companies that are just like essentially affiliate links, and it just covers the screen in like just rainbow colors and just like so. I'm like, oh my god, I can't even see the stream. But yeah, no, I mean it's it's a grind, just to, every buy counts. So
Yeah, when Razer started doing this sponsorship program, and they reached out to me when I had like my email in my Instagram bio, when I was doing like skits and stuff.
Yeah, the business email.
And yeah, and so so it was when I was definitely more relevant online, and they reached out, and I would have gotten kind of a free gaming setup in a way. Like I would have gotten a free keyboard and mouse and
Nice.
mic and stuff.
Dang.
But I would have had to use it all the time, and I didn't want to have to use Razer's microphone all the time because their microphones are really bad.
Speaking of Razer, I actually I have a Razer mouse, and I was playing a little Valorant, a little Valorant sesh, and I wasn't mad actually. I didn't slam my mouse. What happened was I kind of just pressed too hard on the front, and I guess the front technically isn't where the whatever the button that reacts to your the button clicks, and so I pressed too hard on that, and it snapped in half. The left side of my mouse, essentially, I guess you could say perpendicularly split. So now I have like a completely like open part on the top left, and then the rest of the mouse like as it goes down. It's so shitty. And then,
Yeah.
I'm like, oh yeah, I'm gonna get the Death Adder. It's gonna be, oh my god, dude, I'm clicking heads, And then I break it in like 2 weeks, and it's dog shit, and I have to get a new one. But that's Razer.
Yeah, not to do like a Razer ad here or anything, but I got the Razer I don't know,
Just checks mouse.
chemotherapy or something like that. It's some sort of keyboard. I don't know what it is. It's one of their keyboards, and I really like it, but I hate their software, the Razer Synapse software.
Oh yeah.
It sucks so much. And also my keyboard will just like, because I don't want to leave Razer Synapse launched all the time. So I'll close out of it, and then sometimes randomly in the middle of like stream or in a game or something, my keyboard will just reset itself to be on this annoying like pulsing light setting.
Yeah, that happens to me too, though, for Corsair.
Yeah, and so I've just stopped caring about the lights on my keyboards, and it's been on the default pulsing setting for like a couple months now, because I just stopped caring about resetting it.
That's
like,
good.
I had some cool light patterns, but like, yeah.
It's not worth it. I don't think I've ever run into a fundamentally sound keyboard lighting software. Like I've had multiple keyboards, and all of them are like, oh yeah, you're gonna have like a really tough time trying to figure this out. So you should probably just do pulse, and they're just one color, dude. Like what if I wanted WSD to be like 3 different colors? You can do like on the box. It's like, yeah, you can do that. But in the software, it's like, dude, we're gonna make this really hard. Like you're not gonna be able to understand what the hell's going on. Yeah, that's all that shit. But yeah.
Yeah, I think it's pretty interesting. They have such a good idea. They have such a good idea, but just the worst execution of all time. Like Razer, it's whatever their other software is that like manages your games, like manages the performance of your games, and it's like, you guys are supposed to just like light up my keyboard. I don't want you to control my games. Like,
it's like Opera browser.
yeah, and they have this annoying thing with some games where like the game can just override your keyboard, so you'll just be playing and randomly the game will just like, oh, you got shot, so we're gonna turn the brightness of your keyboard up all the way and start flashing random colors. And I'm like, why are you doing this? Like,
yeah, Wallpaper Engine did that to me once. I was like really confused. I downloaded this really sick PlayStation glitch Wallpaper Engine thing, and I started hearing music like that reminded me of PlayStation. I'm like, what the fuck? Well, the wallpaper had an attached sound, like it was this trap PlayStation remix, and then my keyboard was like going fucking nuts, like all these red, blacks, and yellows and teals. And I was like, what the hell's happening? And it was just it trying to recreate the wallpaper on my keyboard, and also I was just hearing this. I was having like a seizure. I literally had to go into Wallpaper Engine and mute the thing, and I realized later I was like, okay, that's coming from that.
I
This is crazy shit.
I really like the idea of you getting like sensory overload from changing your wallpaper.
I was like, what the
You
fuck?
just-
Our wallpaper has a sound. Like
They're
who's
doing
gonna have it on
too.
100%
They do
of the time?
too much. They do too much. They think because like that would just be in the way constantly for anything you're doing. Like anything on your computer that would be in the way.
Imagine, like, yeah, you don't need a Spotify. You have like a ringtone that plays on your wallpaper like 100% of the time. Like why do you need Spotify? Like, fuck.
Like, can you imagine you're just streaming and the only music playing on your stream is Trap Remix PlayStation 4 boot up sound just on repeat?
It's like a shitty Soulja Boy ringtone from like 2007. Just like randomly comes up on this like nice, beautiful Japanese like Sakura background. I'm like, what the fuck is that? Is this Spotify?
To add on to what you were saying about keyboards and stuff, I am notorious for spilling my drinks, and I don't know why. Like, it won't even be like knocking it over or anything, although I have knocked plenty over. I knocked over a cup full of Baja Blast into my PC one time. Didn't cause any damage or anything. PC was fine. I just, every time that my PC is broken, it's been because I've knocked a drink onto it. And so I've spilled a few drinks into my keyboard, and this keyboard is unwavering. I just don't drink drinks with sugar in it anymore when I'm gaming, so then, like, if I do spill it, it doesn't get sticky, it just dries. So my keyboard has had many a Ma energy spilled in it. Not sticky, though.
Yeah, but sponsor. I will say that my keyboard, I don't spill too much, but my keyboard, back when I had longer hair, I used to like pull at it because, you know, I'm a gamer. And now there's like a fucking like you know like when you get your hair cut at the barber or whatever, it's like that much hair that's like in this keyboard. It's disgusting. I need to clean it, but you know I haven't run into any sticky keys yet. So you know it's honestly it's a little adventure at the end of my lifetime of deciding. I don't know. It's a little adventure to go through there and collect a ton of hair, and you know it's a great time.
My old keyboard, I spilled Baja Blast in it, and it was the last time that I drank a sugary drink at my desk. I spilled Baja Blast in it, and half the keyboard just immediately, like, the keys functioned, but they would just get glued down when you would push them. And so it was just impossible to do anything on the keyboard.
I'm surprised it didn't change colors to Baja Blast like at that point.
Yep.
Call back.
Yeah. But the one thing that I will give Razer credit for is they build very durable keyboards. That my keyboard has not failed me yet, but I don't know. The true test of its durability will be the move, if it breaks during the move. But you know, I do think that one interesting thing is that PC part companies are, you know, starting to get better and better about durability and stuff, because they sort of were lacking for a while. But console companies are pretty lacking, you know,
Yeah.
as far as just general build.
Yeah, I was gonna say. So basically, what happened with Nintendo here is that they're deciding to make an upgrade to their console, and it's going to be $50 more, $349. They're making an upgrade, and everybody's expecting something huge, right? They're expecting like the Nintendo Switch Pro, something crazy, something like with 4K quality, all that kind of stuff. Something just a little bit different. People were thinking it was going to be like a callback to the SNES, something just different. It has been a few years. I think it's 2016 or 2015 when this console was released. Maybe it was a little bit later than that. But this console that they've just announced that's going to be coming out, there's not really a huge technology upgrade at all. And it reminds me kind of like just of the entire generation that just happened. Is the Nintendo Switch, this new one is going to be the Nintendo Switch OLED. I'm not sure if that's actually what it's going to be called. But essentially, it has a new OLED screen, which is colorful and everything, but it's an upgrade. But it's $50 extra for the same system. Other than that, it's kind of like it's not the Switch Pro everybody was hoping for. It's kind of just like a new. Here you go. Here's just like spend more money.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just like we're not going to do anything.
Well,
more for
and
you.
it seems
We
like
know
they just added very mundane things, just for the sake of adding things, like the LAN port. Even though by this point anyone who wanted a LAN port just bought the adapter.
Yeah.
That was like $5 on Amazon. Like, there was just so many things they added that were so pointless.
Exactly. Yeah, I mean, their new kickstand, it's got enhanced durability. I've
Yeah.
never met someone that actually uses that. I've never met someone that does that.
Yeah,
I mean,
or
maybe
like-
they do, but I just never seen it.
Well, yeah, or like the zero point 0.5 additional inches on the screen.
Oh shit!
Like,
that's a huge one. Anyway,
yeah,
oh, God.
like, whoa, that sure improves my viewing experience. Like,
But for me, that it just like kind of boils down to the fact that, like in general, I don't think consoles are heading in a good direction at all. I mean, with the PS5 and the Xbox Series X, which is the one of the most terrible names I've ever heard in my life. But either way, I know there's a semiconductor shortage, like a chip shortage for the actual build of the units. But despite that, or not even bringing that into the equation, these consoles have sold less than the Dreamcast, like the Sega Dreamcast, something that's like
Yeah.
not even heard of anymore. Released in 1998, over its like time period, over like 9 years, it sold a lot of consoles. But we're in an age where you expect like booms with this kind of stuff. I mean, look at the 360, look at even the one in the PS4, especially the PS4, especially Sony. They're selling like millions and millions of these consoles, but there's just not enough for people to want to go out there and buy new consoles. Like there's no reason for me to buy a PS5. I just don't care enough about that whole 4K experience. Like, it doesn't matter to me, and it's not available.
well, yeah, and that's their big problem is they took this idea of because the gaming is not at the point anymore where people want the idea of exclusivity.
Yes.
But Sony has gotten this idea with the PS5 of making it almost an exclusive thing. Like oh, it's a big deal if you can have one. But it's like, no, treat it like it is owning any other piece of technology in your house, where it's like, yeah, it's a really nice thing to purchase, but like anyone can get one if they have the money to get one. Like, I think it's so stupid that Sony went for this campaign almost, because they could have easily just pushed back the release of it a little bit and then stocked up enough to release. And so I think it's really dumb that it was a common situation that people had enough money to buy a PS5, but they just couldn't because there was nowhere around them that sold one. And I think Sony did this to, like, doing this almost limited release of putting out less than normal to make it seem like, oh wow, our local GameStop sold out. Like, all of our local GameStops and Best Buys and stuff sold out of these. It must be an insanely popular system. Exactly. But it's like, no, they sold 10. They sold 10 at your local Best Buy, and then they were out. Like, it's not like they had a ton of them.
Yeah.
And I think that to speak on the Nintendo stuff too, Nintendo, I'll forever be pissed at them for releasing the Switch without fixing Joy-Cons. Because I refuse to believe that they did not... test Joy-Cons enough and just didn't encounter Joy-Con drift.
No, like, I've always been confused about that with Joy-Con drift. Like, is to me, like, for example, if you don't have a proper case, wouldn't it be possible for someone to store? It's kind of like when you store a controller somewhere. If you throw your Switch into your bag and bring it somewhere, it's got to put stress on the Joy-Cons to some degree. Like, is that?
I have a proper case though, and my Joy-Cons are broken.
Gotcha. Yeah, and
I don't have a.
That was like a class
all of my
lawsuit.
Switch controllers I take super good care of, except for one that just like sat. Actually, yeah, I also had one controller that I didn't put in a case, but it just sat on my desk. Like, it never had anything sitting on it. And then I tried to use it for a Smash stream with Mackie, and it had the worst drift of all time. I had to hold the joystick up in the top right corner for me to hold still.
Yeah, I mean, that did have a lawsuit, so I'm sure there's definitely something there truth-wise. It was just...
Well, yeah, I just think that, like, it's dumb that they didn't, like, recall them or something.
Sure. It's kind of weird, I guess, like a recall on like, I work in some of the medical business, and there's a lot of like recalls for things that affect human life. I guess I don't know.
There's recalls on there's recalls on everything all the time. There's recalls on pretty much any product that malfunctions, except for some reason Nintendo Switches. And it pisses me off so much when people like defend it on Twitter or
Nintendo
whatever.
fanboys,
When
yeah.
people no, yeah, when people defend Nintendo and they're like, yeah, well, you know, what do you expect? Like, there's going to be some issues with it. And it's like, no, it is a several billion-dollar company that has been at the forefront of gaming
Yeah.
for pretty much as long as gaming has been a thing. Like, it's stupid to defend them in any right. They have enough people or enough engineers or whatever working there. They could fix this issue. If it's an issue that pretty much no other console has had, then it doesn't make sense that they had it, you know?
Sure, sure. I just think in general, and I've had this conversation before, basically, for me, and this is kind of going back to the issue of just like a lack of upgrade. I think, I don't know. For me, like for example, if you look back like 50 years from like let's say like 1960 to now, there has been like so many different like movements, technological movements, like the internet, like TV, like everything from black and white to color, like so many technological advancements that are so massive. But if you look back, like let's say in the last 2 decades, yeah, the iPhone's gotten smaller. Yeah, like our PlayStations are getting better quality, but we're at that stage where I feel like we're getting so human-like, for example, in video games, that I just I don't care enough to like. For me, it's more fun to play older games
Okay,
now because like these new games have there's no like charm to have like this 4K
I don't understand what
titty
you're
in my
saying
face.
here. I don't
Yeah.
understand what you're saying. Are you saying you don't care about Nintendo
Damn, I'm sorry.
releasing? It sounds like I was just talking about the Switch, so I'm confused. Are you saying that you don't care about the Switch's issues? Because
No,
like,
no.
if I pay $300 for for anything and it does not function, and then that company refuses to make it right at all, that's a shitty move
No,
on the
no,
company.
and I completely agree. I think my main point was that for the Nintendo, they're still having these problems and everything like that. What I'm saying is that you know what? Actually, I'm lost now. My main point was that for all these consoles, like not much is going to improve enough for me to want to continue to buy these expensive ass consoles
Oh
that still have
yeah.
problems, like that still have these technological problems that they're not going to fix. So
Oh,
that's
okay. I get what
so
you're saying. I thought you were saying
I was
that
trying
you
to wrap it
didn't care.
around. Yeah.
I thought you were saying you didn't care about the issues.
No, no.
You don't care about the
Oh yeah,
consoles,
I'm gonna buy a
which
$300
I
console, and
completely.
the controllers can be broken. You know, fuck it, I don't care.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. Like, I have absolutely zero motivation to buy PS5, Xbox One, and Series X. Honestly, I don't even have motivation to get a PS4 and Xbox One. I used to have an Xbox One, then I sold it and bought and used that
Yeah,
towards getting a PC.
I haven't
So I
played
was like
mine ever.
13. I didn't have a active income.
Sure.
So, but yeah, and it's weird because like I feel it's not like I'm too good with my money to make those purchases, because I would still go and impulse buy a 360.
Sure.
I'd still go, like, if you put a I don't know, like a GameCube and an Xbox One next to each other, and they were both, I don't know, like $100, I would want to buy the GameCube more than the Xbox One.
Yeah, and
Because
yeah.
the game, because the Xbox, like all these new consoles, just, I don't know what it is. It's like they chose to purposely make the interfaces worse. Like, it's not a pleasant experience to use a new Xbox. I can't quite speak on PlayStation's part, because the only PlayStations I've owned was a PS one, two, and one and two. I've never owned a 3, 4, or a 5. So I can't quite speak on the interface of those, but like Xbox One, I've used Xbox Ones, I've used Xbox One X's, I've used the Series X, and the interface is just not pleasant to use. Especially when you compare it to PC, because at this point, with the amount you're paying for consoles, then it is very fair to compare it to a PC. And I just can't see the benefits of paying that much for a console when you could pay the same amount or just a little bit more for a good quality PC and have a pleasant interface with, you can choose what launchers you use, you know. Like, it's, I don't know. I just feel like consoles are out the door.
Yeah,
I
no,
can't see consoles. I genuinely cannot see consoles lasting more than another 20 years.
yeah, I think it has to be like, for example, the Switch has its charm with the ability to go on the go and all that kind of stuff. I get that, like a handheld, but as
Yeah.
far as like, for example, like Xbox One, PS5, or Xbox Series X, goddamn, I can never remember that name. The game libraries. There's another thing. Like, the reason why I would choose a GameCube is that there's a lot of games that are like, sure, they're not AAA titles, but they're really, really fun. I think nowadays,
Yeah.
like all these E3 conventions are all centered around, oh, we gotta make the biggest shit, and if it's bad, then everybody's gonna be mad at us. But it's like back in the day, we had all these like shitty games that were still fun.
Everyone wants to pay $60 for a game.
Yeah, $64.99, you know, extra special edition pack. But what I'm saying, I guess, is, and this might be a tangent, but Star Wars, for example, was acquired by EA, and they made 2 games in 6 years. I miss the days, and maybe I'm a boomer, but I miss the days where you had like 30 fucking Star Wars games like a year, like where you could just like, you can play whatever the
Yeah.
fuck you want. But now it's like, oh, we're gonna release 2 games in 6 years, and you're gonna just have to play the shitty original trilogy. Like, you're gonna have to play something that like you don't want to play. All right, like that's all, I'm sorry. Like not only
Yeah.
are you like forced to make these very specific titles, but you're also making them shitty. Like, how does that even happen? But I don't know. I just think game library. I'm not gonna buy the PS5 for Cyberpunk 2077. I'm not. I just don't care enough.
Yeah, I don't care about Cyberpunk enough to buy the PS5, but I do think that I do want to clarify. I don't think that handhelds are going anywhere.
Sure.
Like, the Nintendo Switch is still, like, as much as I hate to admit it, because I own a Switch, it is still a good console. It's just, there's so many ways it could be better. But like, not to like anger too many Nintendo fanboys, but like I mean, I'm a Nintendo fanboy, but it, I think that those consoles are unique enough that they're gonna stay around. And I think if PlayStation or Xbox wants to keep this level of relevancy for genuinely in the next 20 years with the way that, you know, PC components have been upgrading and stuff, if these consoles want to maintain their relevancy, then they need that that specific that specific uniqueness that the Switch has. Like, you can't do what you can do on a Switch with a PC with ease. But with a PS4 or an Xbox One, or I meant PS5 or an Xbox One, you can do those things on a PC very easily. So like, yeah, you know, the Switch is gonna stay relevant, or whatever consoles they decide to come out with next. Nintendo does, as long as they keep this handheld aspect, are gonna stay relevant because it's such a convenient thing, you know, bringing it on trips and stuff.
Exactly.
But like, I absolutely cannot see Xbox or PlayStation lasting much longer. It's only going to last as long as the fanboys last, you know?
Yeah.
Because those are the only people that I think are still buying them.
In my confusion, I might not be very intelligent with regards to this field, but I know there's been a lot of you know, moving towards the cloud and all that kind of stuff too. And I know Google Stadia kind of failed, but they've been doing better. But I'm like, it seems like they all want to go towards the whole streaming service meta, and I just don't know, like, what's the point of not having a PC at that point? Because I'm like, I don't have any physical discs, I don't have anything that's like a console charm anymore. I just have a PC that's in the form of a PS6 or PS5 or whatever, you know. I don't
Yeah.
know. At that point, it doesn't make like logical sense to not just get something that's such more high end when you're basically getting that same exact thing with just worse specs in the form of a console.
Well, especially because a PC is such a convenient thing for everything with gaming. I mean, like, talking, you know, like communications or like comms with your friends, you know, when you're playing games, is so much easier on PC.
Yeah.
You know, if you want to, using streaming services like music streaming and Netflix and all that stuff is way easier to use on your PC. Plus you have I see a lot of people that play on their consoles, and it's like they have the PS5 but they wish it was a PC or something, because they'll be like streaming from it, and it's like you're playing you're playing Cold War. Why didn't you just get a PC and stream from your PC, and then you would have a face cam and a working mic and music and stuff.
I like when people have like the PS5 chat like live stream open up on this.
Yeah.
What the hell is going on? But,
yeah, and they don't have Twitch chat open like on their phone or anything, so it's like you try and say hi to them or something, they just
it's like 30 minutes later. Oh hey, didn't see it. 30 minutes.
Yeah. I'm not even going to try and do a transition for this. This is a professional podcast, baby. Another thing I really wanted to talk about is visiting our old buddies in New Mexico on 308 Negra Arroyo Lane.
Yeah, plenty of Nintendo Switches out in New Mexico, I'm sure. So
yeah. So there is the very popular show Breaking Bad. It's an AMC show. I'm sure most of our viewers have heard of it.
I have not. No. Okay, I've heard of it, but
okay, I'll give
a
rundown to the viewer. It's about this guy. His name is Walter White. He was a chemistry teacher in a high school. He finds out he has cancer. He can't afford the payments, and he doesn't want to take charity. His brother-in-law, who's a DEA agent, is talking to him about how much money meth labs make, and Walter knows that one of his previous students, Jesse Pinkman, makes meth, and so in return for not turning Jesse in, Walter makes him his partner in crime, I guess, for making meth, and the series sort of progresses from there. Walter is married and has a kid, and then later has another kid. So then I hope that's a good enough rundown. So they live in New Mexico in an area that's meth is rampant there. In the real world, meth is rampant there. But there's a very popular scene in the show where Walter is very mad at his wife. It's on season 3, episode 2. Walter gets very mad at his wife for not wanting to spend time with him because she's kicked him out because she finds out about him being a meth cook. And so he takes the pizza that he brought over for dinner and he throws it on the roof. Now, after the show ended, they no longer needed the house that they used for filming. And so, like with most old TV sets that were actual houses, they auctioned it off. And this lady who really liked the show bought the house. I'm not sure if she had a family. I know she had some kids, but they grew up and they moved out. Mm-hmm. The lady's probably in her 50s at this point.
Yeah, the show ended 2012, 2013?
Yeah, it ended about 10 years ago, I think. And so there's the main issue is that in the show they say the real life address of the house a lot. They say 308 Negro Royal Lane a lot in the show, which is the real life address. And there's a woman living here. And most Breaking Bad fans are younger people. And so they're being edgy little teens, and they go to the house. This was a multi-times-a-day occurrence. They would throw a cheese pizza on this lady's roof to recreate the scene. Yeah. And so it happened so much that the creator of the show, Vince Gilligan, had to beg fans to stop throwing pizzas on this lady's roof. And so finally it became so much of an issue that the woman who owned the house put up a 6-foot high wrought iron fence so that they couldn't get in there. But the funny thing is is now the lady's sort of become like a meme on TikTok, sort of, because people are going up to the house and taking pictures of it, thinking it's cool. Obviously, you'd have to have quite the arm to throw the pizza up onto it at this point, but they're still going to visit the house, which I personally can't understand what the issue is there. You bought a a house. No, yeah, she 100% knew. She paid like 4 times the cost of a normal house to get this house. But like, it was one of the most popular TV shows at the time. Because it was during like AMC's height, right?
Yeah, sure.
During the peak of Walking Dead and stuff. Like, it was an insanely popular show. And then you buy the house, which the lady watched every episode of the show. She was a fan of the show.
Sure.
So she would have known that in pretty much like every 3 episodes, they said the real address of the house on the show. So she would have known that like people were going to go and take pictures. And especially with it being on Netflix and stuff, the show is insanely popular even now. So like she knew what she was getting. So I feel like the lady's a little dramatic in a lot of these videos where people are just like driving by, recording the house, just being like, yo, it's the Breaking Bad house. And she'll be in the front yard like screaming at them like, keep moving. But at this point, there's enough people who are just like brain dead on the internet that are just like, oh, she's an old lady, you need to leave her alone. I am fully convinced that she loves the attention because she's sitting in her yard pretty much all day, just like in a lawn chair, just to tell people to keep driving and not take pictures of her house. Like,
fucking monster house. Get out of my lawn.
Yeah. But like, she definitely loves the attention,
Sure. Yeah, no,
but I think I personally don't have any sympathy for the show. Or sorry, I just had a stroke there. I don't have any sympathy for this lady. Just, what do you think? Is it weird for people to drive by and take pictures of her house?
No, I don't think it is. I mean, it's something that you're gonna have to expect if you're gonna purchase a property like that. I think, yeah, like maybe it's probably like the afterglow of the series. You're excited. You're like, like let's buy the house and everything. But then maybe like if it's like 8 years, 9 years later, you're like, oh, why won't it end? But I know there's also some spin-offs that have happened since, or at least there's some that are in the works, right? So I can imagine that kind of reinvigorated interest. So,
well, I mean, if you're talking about like Better Call Saul, that's also like a very popular show that's been a thing for a long time.
I know there's a new one too. There's supposed to be like another thing going on with the secondary character. Was it Jesse? Right.
Well, they had like the El Camino movie.
Oh, the movie. Yeah, that's right. So that just recently
came out. That came out like I think a year ago, and that also revitalized people's love of the show because I've watched the whole series twice. I really like Breaking Bad, but I also just looked it up. The first line said on Breaking Bad, like the episode 1. Season 1,
sure. First
line that Walter White says is, "My name is Walter Hartwell White. I live at 308 Negra Arroyo Lane, Albuquerque, New Mexico."
Oh my God. I mean, like, what do you expect, though? Like a popular series, you're going to buy that house? I don't know.
Well, yeah, so now I feel like the lady can't even use the excuse of, like, oh, I didn't watch that far into the show. You had to watch 10 seconds of the show to know that the address is publicly known, which I think is funny.
It's so accessible is the thing. Like, it's in a regular neighborhood. Like, I can imagine where it's like, oh, this is a mansion, you're buying a very famous mansion.
It's a 3-bedroom house in like our normal New Mexico neighborhood.
So naturally people are going to walk right up to it. But if you had a mansion that's like, oh, you got acres of land, oh, that's the guy that lives in that famous, whatever, haunted, whatever. That's different. You're not seeing these people every day. They could be like miles away down the street, down your like, stone trodden path. But here they're literally right outside your window. And I don't know what you expect when you have something like that's so publicly like, recounted in the series. I really think she brought it upon herself. I think it sucks, but I don't think you could really. Okay,
so I actually found out more to the story. So I actually feel honestly less bad for the lady.
Okay. Wait, less bad
So
or more bad?
I feel less bad. I
Even
feel
more less
more
bad.
like she deserves it. Yeah. So the lady's name is Joanne Quintana.
Mm-hmm.
And she lived there with her mom. And she owned the house before the show was a thing, but she offered her home to AMC to use for the show.
Oh, yeah.
Like they were looking for homes to use. She reached out to them and offered her home
That
for the
confuses
show.
me.
So like she clearly wanted for her house to be a popular thing because
Yeah.
AMC, it was in 2008. AMC was a huge deal in 2008.
Mm-hmm.
Like AMC
I'm a
was
little confused though, because why would they? I guess it's within the contracts, but they made it. They made the address such a big deal. You know, like going into it, I'm wondering if they told her that they were going to consistently say the address, or if maybe
Well,
like
yeah,
she
I
thought
think
it was
it's
gonna be like George
really-
Lopez, where it's like an nondescript house. You know, like just something that's
Well,
similar.
I think she would have definitely known just because it's like a crime show.
Sure.
So like his address would have had to have been said at least once, you know? But like especially cuz the show starts out with him like doing a confession tape, you know? So like it would make sense, you know, for her to know that.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like it is really weird on the creator of the show's part to not like what would have changed in the show if they just said, my name is Walter White, I live on 510
Yeah.
Palm Tree Lane, Albuquerque, New Mexico. Like, yeah, people still would have found the house, but it wouldn't have been like it wouldn't have been a part like your home that this lady's real home address wouldn't have been a part of trivia for the show. Although, you know, I think the only thing that I feel bad about for is people going and throwing pizzas on a roof.
So funny.
Because that's
That's like
although
vandalism.
yeah, like that's really funny to me, but I can understand for this woman who only lives with her mother how that could be annoying.
Shitty ass
'Cause-
pizza, like sauce and shit, like cheese melting on your hot ass New Mexico roof. And you're like, what
Yeah.
the fuck? This like every goddamn day I have to clean up a pizza. It's added to the chore list of like you gotta do the laundry, you gotta do laundry, you gotta eat the pizza out the roof. I just
Yeah.
what the hell's
So I
happening?
guess it's understandable that she would have, but like I think the whole solution would have just been you put up the fence, you
Yeah.
know, and then you just leave it there. Personally, I would have put up the fence immediately because so many people know your address. I would be very worried that there was going to be a break-in.
Sure. Yeah.
But
I think
like
the pizza thing is too far, but I don't think it's unexpected. To
I
see
think the
people-
pizza thing is too far, but I also feel like if I was with friends and we had a pizza and we drove past the Breaking Bad house, I would immediately suggest for us to go up and throw a pizza onto the roof. Like that would be the first thing in my mind. Maybe not the whole pizza, maybe a piece of the pizza, just because it would make a funny TikTok, you know.
Yeah.
But that would, like, as much as I want to scold people for doing this, it would be the first thing that I do, you know.
Yeah, it's not a hot take to think it's vandalism, but also yeah, I can completely understand that.
Yeah, like it's still really funny to just like throw a pizza at someone's house because it's probably like the lowest tier of vandalism. Like it doesn't. There's no way it leaves permanent damage because it's like roof tiles.
Yeah.
Like
I
they're
want-
made to withstand something.
I wish I had like seen some of these interactions. Like, I wonder if she's gotten like a pizza thrown at her, like in the process. Like, just like
I
stop
saw-
doing that. And someone throws a pizza at her. I feel so bad.
I saw a TikTok which I legitimately I would love to say video watchers, I will play it right now. I 100% know that I won't be able to find it because I liked it like 3 months ago, and I've definitely liked thousands of TikToks since that one. So I can't just go through my liked videos. But for some reason, a lot of my For You page is people driving past the Breaking Bad house, which is why I wanted to talk about it so bad. But like there was one that I saw where the lady was yelling at them, and they jokingly were just gonna take a video of them holding their pizza outside of the gate, and like pretending like they were gonna throw it over. But then the lady came out and started yelling at them, and so they just started pulling out individual slices and throwing them over the fence because the lady was screaming at them.
That's pretty rough.
But but yeah, I think if the lady wanted the issue to go away, because at this point everyone is only going by just to troll her,
Yeah.
because it's funny to get videos of her getting really mad. But it's like, if she wanted it to go away, just like don't acknowledge them, like literally, you know.
Yeah, you're asking for it when you just sit out there like that. It's quite the tale. I feel so bad for her.
Like, I would personally think that it was really cool, because I really like the show, especially where I'm from. Like, in my middle school years, I knew nothing about the show, but Aaron Paul, who plays Jesse Pinkman, came to our middle school and talked about meth. And I've met Aaron Paul at a gas station with his wife, but also I was middle school aged and had not seen Breaking Bad, so I didn't understand why people my family thought it was cool. But Aaron Paul lives in a town of like a couple thousand people, like 30 minutes from me. The guy who plays Aaron Paul, he lives in a small town called Emmett, Idaho, which I think is really funny.
That is interesting. Yeah. I gotta watch this show now. I just kind of put it off. I tried to start it, and
You haven't seen Breaking Bad?
I have not seen a single episode of Breaking
It
Bad.
is
I've seen
probably my favorite show.
Which is very stupid, but I like.
Oh yeah, you have to see Breaking Bad before
I
you
like
watch Better
Odin
Call
first.
Saul.
Yeah, so it makes more sense. But even then, even watching some of those
Better
episodes,
Call-
I liked it. by itself.
I'm only a couple episodes into Better Call Saul because I actually just started it. But what I've gathered from where I'm at so far in the show, it happens after Breaking Bad.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I think so. I think that obviously there's characters that they go over, and I'm sure it's a lot better if you know the actual series. So.
Well, because I think if you start watching Better Call Saul, then it just sort of spoils the ending of Breaking Bad.
Oh.
Like at least a little bit that I've seen.
Yeah.
Or at least like Saul's ending for the show. So.
Oh, gotcha.
Not his ending. Obviously, he doesn't die because there's a series, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Like.
Actually.
But yeah, that's. I just really wanted to talk about it because I think it's so funny that people are just relentlessly trolling this woman and her mother.
Yeah, I mean, aren't you're moving around down south there? Maybe you could take
Yeah,
a trip
that's
there.
true. That's sort of why. I guess
That's
people
why.
who have listened this far can get an explanation. That's why we've been slower on episodes. Is I've been very busy with moving and stuff, like packing and cleaning out my room, and Mac has been,
Just around.
living the life of an adult.
You know how it is.
So we've sort of been slowed down. I am moving to Arizona. I'm not going to disclose the town. I'm moving to like southern Arizona in on the third week of August, and then I'll be down there, and then we'll have much more consistent episodes. We'll be able to do some Grease Monkey content. That's something I've noticed, like Cold Ones and TMG do, where it's not all podcast episodes. They do some content, which I think is fun.
Well, I'd like to do a live outside special.
Yeah.
Just like sitting. We should set up a table outside 308 Negro Royal Lane, right? 308 Negro Royal Lane.
So we just
do
completely rip
podcasts.
podcast but outside's bit.
But just do it in front of famous areas.
So podcast but outside.
Exactly.
It's their whole
Podcast, but it's
thing.
outside and it's hot and it's in New Mexico. We add a couple other words and it makes it different.
That would it would be really funny to do that. Or just name the podcast
The traveling podcast.
just completely rip their bit, like have the same like logo, the same sign. I actually podcast but outside. I'm not going to disclose how close I live to Phoenix, but Podcast But Outside is doing a live show in Phoenix like 2 weeks, or they're going and like recording an episode in Phoenix like 2 weeks after I get there. So I'm going to go to Phoenix and I'm going to try and get on Podcast But Outside. I'm going to try and find them.
Yeah, I mean,
Because they just let like random people on. That's their whole thing, is they just interview random people. So
I can imagine that they say that and they expect people to show up. I would just like be scared if like some like guy showed up and like just speared me during like the filming. Like oh yeah, you're these guys. I'm gonna kill you. Like I don't know.
yeah,
I'm
no, they
scared.
had one episode recently where there were some guys really high on meth that just wouldn't leave. Like they were just saying like random stuff into the mic, and so they had to pretend like they were ending the episode so that the guys would get up and leave.
So you get when you do shit outside.
It was like actually 5 minutes into the episode they had to pretend like they were ending so the guys would leave.
That was the same podcast that did the part where the guy was trying to get them to stop filming because of like a permit. And they're like, we're not actually filming. We're two different people. He's just filming us for fun.
Yeah.
Oh,
It's Cole Hirsch and Andrew Michon's podcast. But yeah, I know that's probably not smart practice to recommend listening to other podcasts on a podcast. That's one of my favorites. They're really funny.
They seem memorable.
Yeah. It's also a very unique concept because all the other podcasts I listen to, I think actually every podcast I listen to other than podcast but outside is two guys talking inside, and theirs is two guys talking outside. So, it's at least a little different. Because like TMG, two guys talking. Gus and Eddie, two guys talking.
Yeah.
Chuckle Sandwich, three guys talking.
Hey,
whoa.
3 guys.
The Super Mega, two guys talking.
I got you.
But yeah, we're sort of reaching the end here, which is crazy. An hour flew by.
Oh,
flew by fast.
Pizza and video games, it's
This was a very gamer episode.
For sure. I always just look up gaming video news. Just like, well, what's actually funny here? Or what's actually newsworthy?
I feel like my favorite thing about the podcast is even if it doesn't get even if it doesn't climb the ranks, even if we stay some Humega laws, I think it'll always be healthy for me to do it because I just pick topics that I really want to rant about.
Exactly, vent sessions and building a friendship.
Yeah, this podcast is like my hourly therapy a week.
That's what I was saying earlier when I was like, how does that make you feel about the Nintendo Switch?
Yeah.
It's like a therapy session. It's like, it makes me feel really angry. I'm feeling really
Actually, before we end, I do have another thing that I really wanted to talk about.
Sure.
Wolf of Wall Street. Have you seen Wolf of Wall Street?
I've seen bits and pieces, most of the naked bits,
okay.
But
well, yeah, I've seen a lot of them on Dailymotion.
Yeah, Margot Robbie did really well.
Yeah. No, but you.
No, but I actually have not seen. I've watched. Actually, I watched a good portion of it, but not all of it. I guess it was like.
It's a good movie. It's on Netflix, I believe. So I'd recommend watching it.
I definitely, I should. Watch that.
I'm not sure. Actually, I think I watched it on YouTube. Like I rented it for like $2 because it's not on Netflix.
So you got like a jacked copy or something.
Yeah, no, it's a very good movie though. I'd recommend watching it. Although the whole thing is it's based on a true story, which I assume you knew that.
Yeah,
Jordan Belfort is a real guy, and Jordan Belfort has gotten very popular on TikTok recently. For being the Wolf of Wall Street. And he just he does the exact same thing as like, I don't even remember the guy's name, but do you remember the guy that was a big meme? Because he'd be like, just here in my garage, just got these new bookshelves put in for knowledge. Like that guy. You know what I value more than wealth? Knowledge.
What's his name?
I don't even remember the guy's name. I remember TMG made a video making fun of him, and then they got invited to go to his house, and so they went and got like a house tour from the guy.
It was
really funny. Yeah, he made them into smoothies. But so this guy Jordan Belfort has gotten popular on TikTok, being like, "I'm rich and I used to live a crazy life." So frat boys sort of have swarmed him. They all praise him now on TikTok because it's, rich guy who hangs out by the pool all day and then talks about how he used to do cocaine. It's their ideal man. It's like Nelk, but he's hit puberty. And so it's funny to me though, because I saw a video the other day which, regardless of any political stance you hold on any economic system, this guy it was very obviously a joke of this video of this guy talking about I believe it was Funko Pops, and he was making a joke where he was like, capitalism is going to be the downfall of our society, and he was just like making fun of Funko Pops. And Jordan Belfort stitches it, and he's like, wait for the Wolf of Wall Street's response. And then he's like, what an ignorant statement to make. How about you go to Venezuela and see how well socialism works there? Make sure you take bread there, because people have to wait in the bread lines. Which, regardless of the fact that, the U.S. is the main reason for Venezuela's failure, and how they used to be a very wealthy country and were able to provide these social programs for their people, and the U.S. didn't like them because it wasn't capitalism, and so we basically stole all their resources and made it so that they could not live off of their own dime. Regardless of the terrible things the U.S. has done to them to make it so that they could not function as a nation, completely ignoring that. It's really funny to me that the guy who succeeded in capitalism by stealing $200 million from the working class is talking like capitalism is a good system. Dude, if your way of succeeding so that you could abandon your family was by stealing $200 million from the working class, what how is
that works
that
for cheaters? Is what he's saying.
Yeah, like I just think it's so funny, and all the people in his comments are like, yeah, you tell him, Jordan. And it's like, tell them, why are you guys praising this guy? He stole, again, $200 million from people who make like $50K a year. Also, he's not even succeeding anymore. After all the fines and stuff he had to go through, and the government seizing his money, he's $100 million in debt.
That's why he's on TikTok.
Yeah, he's trying to make that money back. I just think it's so funny how he is a literal villain. He is a terrible person who got the lightest sentence he possibly could, and these frat boys have just forgiven him and are praising him. Yeah. I think it's really funny how quickly people move on. Also, just like not even to deal with like the money, like the fact that he, abused his wife and stuff, like publicly talks about how he would beat his wife is, it was not that long ago. We should not move on from that. He's just a generally very bad guy. A literal villain. I don't understand why people, and of course their defense is always, he makes more money than you'll ever have. And it's like, that doesn't make him a good person. No, sure, yeah. Like, I'm sure Jeffrey Epstein had way more money than I'll ever have, but doesn't mean that he's a good guy either, But either way, that was my rant at the end about one of the worst people on TikTok. Not going to say the worst because, Coco Melon still has a TikTok, so.
I'm a fan of just random, edgy, small little shorts. I don't want to get into all the laundry stuff. Luckily, I haven't stumbled across too many financial TikToks. I did try to get on board the AMC train, and that failed. So I was like, you know what, fuck this. So I'm back to the
any time that you go on a TikTok and they're like, I'm selling my financial course. Get out of there immediately, because it's a scam. Like, the person, their strat is basically, when you start out, you get an Airbnb, and you make sure it's like a really nice one, and you record a video saying, you want to live a life like this, you want to live in a place like this, buy my financial course. Sell a financial course that's like base level knowledge, like, don't spend more than you make. Sell that for like $500 a lesson. Yeah. Okay? And then watch the money come in. Soon you can film in your own mansion. The funny thing is, that's actually what every single one of those people do who sell their financial courses. If you buy financial courses, I'm sorry, you are very dumb. You've been scammed, and that includes Dave Ramsey courses. They are a waste of your money. Dave Ramsey's are probably the closest to being smart ones to buy, but Dave Ramsey's also a windbag, so in general, just don't spend all your money. There you go, guys.
There's so many bullshit courses and stuff like that are just all just like, oh yep, we're gonna tell you like the basic shit and stuff you've already heard.
Yeah, it's like buy low, sell high, and it's like, yeah, dude, that's sort of like instinct. If I buy something for 50 cents and then it becomes worth $10, I'm gonna sell it. You don't need to pay $500 for a course to tell you to do that. But yeah, that's my rant about these money launderers online. I think we're gonna have to wrap it up here.
Yeah, that sounds good to me. And we covered a lot today.
Yeah, I like this episode. I felt like this was the most naturally flowing one.
For sure. Especially with that Nintendo Switch transition.
But yeah, I'm Friedmemechef. You can find me at places. I don't know. I'm not going to be super active with streaming until I move, just because I don't want to intrude on my family who is sleeping during the time I normally stream. You can find me twitch.tv/Friedmemechef. My link tree will also be in the episode description for like my music. I'm working on an album right now, which will be pretty cool. But yeah, that's all my stuff.
Yeah, and you can find me GreasyMac on Twitter or on Twitch. Just look that up; it'll come up. I'm still streaming, doing a lot of stuff. It's my birthday soon. Very excited for that.
Happy 40th.
Yeah, another year closer to death, and but we all get that green top in the end, right? So. Anyway, that's a good note to end on, but that's all I got. Yeah.
And I would like to acknowledge we've made it through a whole episode without me making a groomer joke.
Yeah, which I thought it's a great thing.
Yeah.
You know, when I raid my fellow friend here, Friedmemechef, it's a great thing when the first thing he says when I join him is, guys, I'm not a groomer. That is a great classification.
Well, I think that, would you say that I've been, daddy's good little girl because I didn't make any jokes about grooming?
I can't take this anymore.
Let's end the episode there. Bye, guys.
Bye.